Hey everyone, this is Charles Mitri from loungeboudoir.com, and today I'm going to talk about why some boudoir poses work and others don't. Have you ever looked at a boudoir pose and thought, wow, awesome shot, and then looked at others and thought, I'm not crazy about it? There are many factors that go into making a boudoir pose have its impact, and a big one is the pose itself. So what exactly is the purpose of posing in boudoir? I've meditated on this on a mountaintop, and I've come to the conclusion that the purpose of posing in boudoir is to showcase the female form to its fullest potential. Now, unless you're capturing a boudoir portrait where the focus is just on the woman's face, or you're trying to capture sort of a casual, candid shot, the purpose of posing in boudoir photography, like I said, is to emphasize the female form. So how do we do that? It's pretty evident that the female form looks best when it's forming triangles and S-curves. Now, when I say an S-curve, it doesn't have to form like a perfect S. S can also stand for sinewy, but it's an undulating kind of sine wave-like line. So the more S-curves and triangles an image has, the greater its impact will be. Although you can have sort of one big S-curve that really emphasizes, that's really prominent in the image, and that can take the place of having smaller S-curves. And I'll show you a perfect example of that. So here's Anaya, and this is the pose without all my red lines drawn on it, but I will show you how many triangles this pose actually has. Boom, this pose has a lot of triangles. And I didn't draw the S-curve on here because I didn't want it to get in the way of the triangles, but here is the pose with the S-curve. Now this particular pose has one big S-curve right here. It's very prominent, very emphasized here. So it may not appear that this has a lot of triangles at first, but it actually does. So when there is a lack of triangles and S-curves in an image, it's going to lessen its effect as a boudoir pose. You may not have known why you didn't like a particular pose before, but I guarantee you it has something to do with a lack of S-curves and triangles. And whenever I come across a pose that I really like, I always check to see how many S-curves and triangles it has, or if it has one prominent S-curve, or things like that. So if you're someone that likes to come up with new poses, take the pose that you're working with and see if you can emphasize areas or add to areas triangles, and you got it, S-curves. Have I beaten that with a stick enough? Poses that lack S-curves and only have triangles and straight lines will come off as very clinical and cold and emotionless. And this is a perfect example of one. This shot right here. It's very geometric. So as you can see, it's a very kind of T-shaped pose. Her arms are forming triangles. The overall shape is a big triangle. Now there are some kind of slight S-curves in her legs, but the pose itself is so dominant with just triangles and straight lines, it really kind of hides that effect that the S-curve in her legs would have. So triangles can also be formed with the overall shape of the pose. And if you do this, make sure that there are curves within the overall shape of the triangle. So as you can see, this bed squat, I call it a bed squat. Kneeling bed squat. Kneeling squat on a bed, there. Forms kind of this pyramid triangle shape, but it's asymmetrical. So you've got some curves going on here. Her head is to one side, one shoulder is up, one shoulder is down, her arms are doing different things. Triangles are formed when you bend the joints. So elbows are bent, knees are bent, wrists are bent, ankles are bent, and sometimes even the waist can be bent. S-curves are formed when there's asymmetry. And a perfect example of this is, let's say you have someone standing against a wall with their weight on both feet, equally on both feet, like this pose right here of Ivy. Kind of standing straight up. Now, as soon as you break up the symmetry with asymmetry, you have her put her weight on one hip, turn her head, then you get those nice S-curves. And the curves that she has already are emphasized even more. So the next time you see a pose that really grabs your attention, kind of look a little closer and see if there's a big, strong S-curve in there or smaller S-curves and triangles. Chances are that there will be, and that's why you like it. And also, poses you come across that, don't really do it for you, see if it's lacking or missing altogether S-curves and triangles. S-curves and triangles, S-curves and triangles. So thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. And like and subscribe this video if you want me to make more. I enjoy making them and sharing sort of what I've discovered about boudoir with all of you. And I will see you at a future point in the YouTube universe.